Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges. I really appreciate you being here. You're obviously here to learn a little bit more about OCD, in particular the community name Pure OCD, which describes intrusive thoughts and mental rituals. That also happens to be the name of my book. Pure OCD, The Invisible Side of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. You can get that at Amazon or booklocker.com. I'm also a certified peer support specialist working with people worldwide to provide support in living with OCD. I can also provide referrals anywhere in the world for therapists who treat OCD. NoCD is an app, NoCD. Inside their app, they have a lot of resources. You can connect to people who have OCD, but they also provide telehealth. And so go to their website if that is what you are looking for at treatmyocd.com. So glad that you're here today. This is a topic that I'm super passionate about, mainly because I hear about this all the time, but you don't hear a lot about it when we're looking at advocacy. Oh, I first also wanted to point out my new banana. If you don't know about the banana, head over to the videos at the top of my YouTube channel, and I talk about what the banana represents. But I've always wanted the neon banana, so I finally got it. Yay! Anyway, the topic I'm going to talk about today is super important because a lot of people have experienced this, and it becomes very much intertwined in their OCD experience, and they really feel alone. I mean, we already struggle with, is this OCD? Because it feels so real. But when we have things that have happened in our past and we can link those to the themes that we have now, things can get really complicated and really stressful and upsetting because it feels like what we have experienced, things that we may have done when we were kids or teenagers, things that maybe were done to us, are some sort of proof that whatever we are experiencing right now with intrusive thoughts are real. So let's just get right into it. So today I'm talking about, and I have a couple videos on this already, but I just think it's worth revisiting again because there just isn't that much out there. What I'm talking about is when we develop a theme, and then what we do is we mentally review things in our past that are supporting whether or not the theme is real or not. As we know, when we have OCD and we have intrusive thoughts, what we're doing is we're always doing compulsions to try to relieve the anxiety, relieve the sadness, the doom, that feeling inside of us that makes us think, I cannot go on living with this unless I know the answer. Whatever emotion manifests from that, that is what we're trying to relieve, right? But what happens is we're also seeking out some sort of proof or disproof. OCD is ego dystonic. I mention this all the time in my videos, meaning we have these thoughts. We know that they're not part of who we are, what we want, any of that, but we still can't stop having them, which then makes us feel like if I'm having them, that must mean, and I can't stop them logically, then that must mean there must be some sort of proof. Well, then inevitably we're going to start diving into our past. We're going to start diving into the best example would be with sexual orientation OCD, and you're trying to figure out your sexual orientation. So you dive back into your past and you think, I know in 7th grade I had a crush on Eric Blair. I totally said his name and it was true. I did have a crush on him. Eric, if you're watching this, I just did. Anyway, I would go back and think to myself, oh my gosh, I really did have a crush. I know that it was real. I know that I felt that. And so in my book, I reference this as having like a memory bank of things I could pull as reassurance and proof. I remember feeling that way. I remember listening to R&B songs and they would invoke those butterfly feelings or whatever. And I remember feeling those things. So that must be real, which is counteracting the intrusive thoughts I would be having now about sexual orientation. And you hang on to those things thinking, I know that was real, so this must prove that what I'm experiencing now isn't real. But OCD doesn't work that way because it doesn't operate off of logic. It only operates off of behavior, which is why the compulsions drive everything. So here's the danger in going back and mentally reviewing. It's great to be able to mentally review and find things that support your narrative, which is these intrusive thoughts aren't real because remember this, Well, what about the things that are not so supportive? And those things can show up in our lives by way of being things we may have done when we were younger, or things that were done to us when we were younger. Now, I want to make a big distinction here. I'm not talking about how things may have happened in your past and they've caused trauma and now this is fueling the OCD. That is absolutely and can be part of this, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about mentally reviewing things that have happened in your past, maybe instigated by you, mutual between two people, or something that has been done to you. And now you're mentally reviewing it and using that information to fuel the intrusive thoughts you're having now. There's a whole separate category of things that have happened to you and it caused trauma. That is not what this video is about. I have a lot of empathy and compassion for people who have experienced that, but please don't mix that up in what I'm trying to talk about today, which is using those experiences to help prove or disprove what you're experiencing right now is real or not. So with this, a lot of what happens is you start to dive into real event OCD. Now, what is real event OCD? Real event OCD is where you replay things that have happened in your life that were real events, and you all of a sudden feel a lot of anxiety about them, and you need to resolve what happened with that, or to resolve whatever guilt or shame or anxiety or sadness or anger or whatever you had to that real event. Real event can be really tricky because what's happening is OCD is taking something that actually happened in your life that you are remembering now. You're not experiencing it now, you're remembering it. And typically how this happens, now remember, every video is not going to represent everybody's experience. So don't take me saying typically if yours isn't like this as I don't have OCD. I'm just using this as an example because I hear this all the time. Typically what happens is that people will have a theme, or they will randomly remember a memory. And all of a sudden there is this incessant need to know why that memory happened, why you behaved the way you did, why you thought the way you did, why that you acted the way you did. Or if you have a theme now and then these memories come up, you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I need to know what that meant, why I did that, why I acted that way. So what's essentially happening, and this is what I always talk about when OCD attaches to real event stuff, is that there was an event, there was something that happened. Okay, now OCD is getting on top of that. The real event happened, but OCD is getting it and pulling it up from whatever memory or whatever, and it's just spinning. And you're stuck in that spin cycle right there. Because whatever the OCD is telling you that you need to know, okay, that has nothing to do with the event that happened. You may think it does, and you may think to yourself, if only I could resolve these feelings around this real event, then I could let all of this go. But that's not how it's going to happen, because the real event is there. We cannot revisit things that happened 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and recall exactly what our mind frame was when we acted the way that we did. It's impossible. We're not that person anymore. So OCD takes that and it's just like, well, you need to figure it out or else. But you can't, right? You can't. There's no way to go back. And so what happens is you get stuck mentally reviewing these things, and all of a sudden this becomes part of what is happening to you right now. Real event is really difficult because you have to separate the actual event that happened and how OCD is latching onto it and making your life a living hell. Now, the point of this video is to talk about when real events have to do with child's play or things that you explored. And when I say child's play, you may think to yourself like, well, that wasn't child's play because I initiated it and I was a teenager, so I should have known better. I mean, none of us knew shit when we were teenagers. I'm sorry, but we didn't. I mean, most people in their 20s don't even know shit. You know what I'm saying? No offense to you 20-year-olds watching this, but you know what I mean? Like, you're still developing. You're still like trying to figure out who you are. You still make decisions sometimes emotionally based. You're doing the best that you can. I mean, sometimes that happens in the 30s and 40s too, just FYI. But anyway, what happens is, and I'm specifically, not that I'm eliminating other themes, but I am specifically talking about sexual and violent intrusive thoughts, blasphemous intrusive thoughts, religious things like that, because you can look back and you can think about these things, and they just cause such a degree of shame. I mean, many of us have had very weird exploratory sexual experiences, violent experiences when we were younger. I mean, oh my God. I used to pull the tails off of lightning bugs because they were glowing, and I wanted to make bracelets with them. I mean, what? I'm such an asshole. I didn't even think about the fact that that was an insect, and I should have not done that. But like, I was a kid, and I was like, look, glow sticks. Y'all know me, I like the techno. I didn't even know I liked techno then. So maybe it was a precursor to me liking techno. I don't know, but how cruel was that? You know what I mean? Like, I used to do all these little things to insects. And, you know, when I get harm OCD, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, look, there's the deviant coming out in me. I wanted that insect to feel bad. No, I didn't. I mean, I could look at it now and I could say, I wanted that insect to feel bad. But I didn't at the time. I was a stupid kid that wanted a glow bracelet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for who I am. Anyway, so if I looked at something like that, you know, or I looked at like, you know, other stupid things. I used to pull my cat's tail all the time, and it was mean, and she'd get mad at me and hiss and scratch me, but I didn't take the hint. I'd be like, oh, really? I'm going to pull it harder. Like the little shit that I was. You know, but then there's the sexual stuff. You know, when I was a little kid, I was, God bless, I don't know what, I mean, there's speculation, but I don't know what happened to me, because once third grade hit, I was like a little sexual machine. I mean, I like to self-pleasure in the third grade on. I mean, it became part of my rituals. I can't believe I'm saying this over the video. If I didn't have the scarf on, you'd see like my whole chest would be red right now. But like, something happened and then turned, and I became this little sexual kid. I thought about sex all the time. I don't even know why. I just wanted to I was drawing dirty pictures when I was in the fourth grade, got sent to the principal's office. And there were other things. Like, there were other things that I'm not gonna talk about that here on the thing, but there were other little exploratory things that would happen that I look back and I'm like, oh my God. First of all, when I had sexual orientation OCD, that would be like the precursor I would look back to, like, oh no. I think I've mentioned this before and I will again. Like, one of my cousins gave me like the penthouse or whatever, and I was like looking at and I remember that was my first feeling. That's probably the precursor to self-pleasuring, I would say. But then that would like support the fact that so OCD. Anyway, I remember like looking at the if y'all remember like the magazines and stuff when they would have like the middle spread or whatever. I remember looking at that and feeling this big flush of heat of, oh my God, like there's a naked chick there, and I'm like looking and going, like, is that what I look like? I don't think so. But I remember feeling that, and then hearing this song by NXS a little bit later. Do y'all remember that band? I'm aging myself like crazy. And then feeling this heat, like that same like feeling of, but I didn't have intrusive thoughts about sex then. But when I did later, you better believe I mentally reviewed that shit and all of a sudden went into, what did that mean? Because these are things that really happened. These were feelings that I really felt. And so how could I not see those and think to myself, this has some sort of meaning? Now, I'm going to wrap this up here in a minute. This is where child's play and stuff like that comes in, right? So when you're younger and you're just doing exploratory stuff, this may be with family, you know, like cousins, brother, sister, you know, neighbor, things like that. Or you're just watching random porn, you know, and you liked it when it happened, but now if you have POCD, and you're mentally reviewing the porn that you watched when you were younger, and you think you were watching porn that had young people in it, you might think to yourself, oh, see, this is a precursor to why I must be a pedophile, right? Or you're curious when you're younger and you're watching gay porn or you're watching whatever else, or if you're gay, you're watching straight porn, and you think to yourself, if you have SOCD, oh my God, I watched that, and I masturbated, orgasm to it or whatever, so that must be a precursor. You're doing like little weird child's play shit that you do. It's not even child's play. It can happen in teenage years too. It's exploratory phases that we go through for sexuality and stuff like that. I mean, and then you might start mentally reviewing to yourself, oh my God, did I instigate something? Did I hurt someone? Did I force myself on someone? And then that can lead to a whole other rabbit hole of feeling like, oh my God, like, where is this all going? What kind of person am I? I'm a deviant. I must be a narcissist, whatever else. So see, I hope that you see what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff that so many of us probably did when we were younger. We probably did when we were teenagers, even sometimes like into the late teens. And I always tell people, we just don't have the emotional intelligence sometimes that we do now. We don't understand repercussions, and we don't understand, and a lot of times, a lot of kids just want to explore and do like really weird shits and like stick stuff up your ass and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, just weird stuff that you're just looking for. I don't know. You're just looking to see what things feel like. You're just taking some time down there to figure it all out. And that can become the massive, awful catalyst down the line when you have sexual and violent intrusive thoughts. Because all of a sudden you're looking at that as, what did that mean? That has to mean something. And then you can go down the rabbit hole of, what kind of person am I if someone else was involved? Like, what did I do to them? What if their life is ruined because of me? What if I'm a sociopath because I did something like that and those were the early signs? This can lead to so much. So the point of this video is I just wanted you to know this is so common. And I know that you don't hear a lot about this, and you probably think to yourself, I'm the only one and I'm this horrible person. I don't even want to tell anybody about it because I'm so ashamed about it. That's what a lot of people deal with this. I'm sitting here telling you, these are the things I hear all the time from people. Why? Because they can trust me and they know that I'm going to get it, and I have experience too, but also because you just need validation. You need validation, and you need assurance, not reassurance, that you're not a monster. And that's what peer support is, and that's what I do. I'm not here to tell you that what you did is right or wrong. I mean, come on now. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm here to just say, like, walk alongside you and validate the experience that you're having. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it made sense. And I hope that if you're experiencing this, that this gave you some sort of relief, that you're not alone, and that you don't have to look at those experiences as proof or disproof, or that, this somehow means something about you or means something about your intrusive thoughts. OCD always sends you down the mental review path. I'm looking in my past to try to justify or validate what I'm experiencing now. And it will turn over any stone, and it will warp and make things look so crazy just to convince you that that must be true. So I'm sorry that you're experiencing this if you are, but also if you are, you're not alone. Anyway, I hope this helped. If you're looking for peer support or referrals, go to ChristyHodges.com. Again, if you want to know more about NoCD, go to treatmyocd.com. Have a great weekend. I'll see you here soon. Bye now.